Okay, it's been a while since I uploaded anything, and I decided to upload something. Being quiet, because it's really late at night. I don't want to wake my parents up, but tonight, never mind. I think I will be going over basically the entirety of my World War II collection, aside from maybe 3 items. Because I'm currently going through everything to get it ready for a school display in the coming weeks. So I'll just go ahead and give a basic overview of what I got. So we're gonna start from the right here, if I can't get my fat shadow out of the way. Got a 30 cal ammo box I picked up for maybe $8 at the flea market, repacked. 45 dated mess tin, that's 43, 43, and then 52 canteens. 43 dated cover. Then under this canteen, which is a late war 43 canteen, I think 45 cup, an OD 45 canteen cover. I think this one's right here is a 42 canteen cover. 43, 45 mix of cups. I have no cups that are not World War II, 44, 45, or World War I. So I'm using what I got. But then you got a 42 dated cover. Earlier canteen set. This one's got a World War I cup. And this is a 1941 dated cover by Baker Lockwood. It's actually in pretty good shape. One of the first canteen covers I bought too. Moving on, we have, I believe that this cartridge belt here is a 50s dated. I'm not sure, it could just be late war or mid-war, because OD is kind of subjective. OD7 was used early in the war, really. There's debate about, oh, it's all khaki. But this is OD7, this is OD3. There's no such thing as khaki. 'Cause if you had khaki, it would fade to white. That's not very effective in combat. So basically the reason it seems khaki is it's faded. It's been used in a war. You think some people would kind of put this into proportion, I guess. I can't remember the word right now. But this belt's a 42 dated. It's got I think it's a laundry number. But other than that, it's got some field repairs actually, and new small rivets in the belt instead of the wider ones. I'm not sure if those were done by someone else, like a reenactor or what, but I'll move over to the left. Got my 2 folding shovels. Still need to get a T-handle with cover. This one's my beat up one that I've actually used to dig a foxhole that was about 4 feet deep and maybe 8 feet wide. So it's a 45 awning company cover. 44 dated Ames shovel. It's not in the worst shape, it still folds. I'm considering using a little bit of what's called evapor rust on it, just so I can loosen the nut up, so if I do use it more, it won't rust up as bad if I clean it properly and make sure it's all dry. And I don't want it to lock up. It'd be kind of a waste, don't you think? Anyway, now this was, in my opinion, a good score. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 44 dated as well, with a 44 dated cover, which is really nice, and it's a transitional. I really like those transitionals, which, when I say transitional, you look at this cover and you see it's plain OD. Plain OD7, so very dark. If you take a look at this cover, you've got the OD3, here. Then you have an OD7 rim, or edge, I suppose you'd call it. Not many people like this color, and a lot believe that it's inaccurate, but this proof in the pudding, I guess, here. But anyway, this is my near mint example of a folding shovel. It's one of the nicest ones I've ever seen for the price I got it at. The handle's not bad either. My apologies for the poor lighting. No matter how many times I replace the light bulbs up in my fan, they look like, God, my room looks like a dungeon. A musty, smelly, surplus dungeon. God, my closet's no better either. Gonna have to put a Febreze in there. But anyway, moving on. We have my collection of web belts. And that canteen right there, which is World War I everything. It is a 1919 dated Rock Island Arsenal cover though. But anyway, we'll start from the earliest. This is a World War I model of belt. I don't remember the exact name of this model. But basically, the way you can tell these early ones is not only by the webbing and the construction, but the construction of the buckle, which has a much flatter face and not as sharp of an angle on the back cast of the brass. And if you look at the connector, it will kind of bevel out almost. Will round out and then go back to more of a normal form, but not nearly as square as you would see on World War II, which the example is pretty heavy there. You can definitely see the differences. But anyway, I have this belt here, which I think was used by a Boy Scout or something. Kid wrote his name all over it. It was $2, and I think it's on sale really well, so I got it for free, I think. But this is probably more of a mid-war 42-43 belt, because one part of the buckle is steel, the other part is brass. Brass hardware, to my understanding, was they stopped using it to make field gear, as the demand for brass for cartridge casings was so high that they could not use brass for other fittings. No clue if that's accurate. If anyone could let me know, I'd appreciate it. But here's the buckle that you'll see on basically every single World War II belt, brass or not. And the connector, if you can tell compared from the one I showed earlier, is a lot smaller and a lot more of an angle really to the cast. But this is probably a 42-43 belt. Same with the one I'm about to show you, but this one, I will point out, has a very nice OD3 color left in it. So for $2 that was not bad at all. Because generally you'll see them in this more brownish khaki. This one's more olive, which is what you want to see. And then same deal here, steel and brass buckles. US is left on this one though. Probably a 42-43, possibly 44. And then this one's got a very nice US along with, I believe, a stamp of some kind somewhere. And this one's very interesting as the, God, I don't know what you'd call them, but I guess the holders for the webbing, I suppose, have been taken off and soldered back on, which is very odd. And this one here has a steel buckle, so it's probably more 44 or possibly earlier, because as we would win the war, the demand for cartridges would probably be less, so brass could be used at either the beginning or late war. I really don't know anymore. But anyway, there's a what appears to be a serial laundry number, B3 or 2 511. And the last one here I do not believe is World War II. I think it is 50s and or Korea. But it's a nice example of an OD7 belt. The reason I think it's Korea is because on all examples of World War II web belts, these little holders do not look like a pressed sheet. They do, but they don't have a bevel like this one. They don't have any sort of ridging. They are simply flat. Now go ahead and move on to my Carlisle pouches, which I do have quite a bit of. So start out here. Well, here, my earliest one is a 1918 dated one. I'm not gonna, undo the snaps. They're a little fragile, and I'm probably gonna eventually open it and leave it like that one day. But also, I don't know if it's just me, but as I'm recording this, I'm getting frame rate issues, so my apologies if there's any problems with the actual video. This is a 42 dated Carlisle pouch in pretty good shape. You can read the date there. Kind of hard to make out, but that is a 42. And inside of it, I believe I have a proper Carlisle pouch. If anyone could let me know on that, please do, as I try to tell history more accurately and not inaccurately. It's a red Johnson & Johnson Carlisle pouch. I have, Carlisle kit tin. I think I've seen them. I don't think they're non-World War II, but I don't know, so if someone could let me know. Because I know the OD ones are. God, that's lead paint on my carpet. Probably shouldn't mess with that one with one hand. But and I have a 43. Yes, 43. This one here is a model of 1924. And God, I cannot remember the name of the model of this kind. But basically, the simple thing is they're much wider, so they could fit, I believe, so they could fit the cardboard bandage package. But anyway, this one here is a 44 dated British made one, which to my understanding is an original. And I'll tell you what, I bought this on an entire belt with a lot of stuff on it for cheap, as well with the Carlisle in there. And dear God, is this thing in great shape. I mean, it's perfect, except for a little bend in the hook, but I mean, it's amazing. And then this one, I don't know if it's World War II or Korea, because the way that this is listed out reminds me of 50s, like the codes that they'd stamp on the back of their the stuff. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, this is a very nice example of an OD7, 1944 dated. If you can see it there, just barely. 1944 dated Carlisle pouch. And at the end here, I have my Jungle First Aid Kit. I don't know what date this is. It's 44 or 45, but the date's practically, the stamp's gone. And now, finally, except for the bags, which I will show in a second, I have some magazine pouches, which not necessarily all World War II, but close enough. So, World War I, both of these I got on the belt. This is a very nice, near mint example of an OD3, 1942 dated, 1911 pouch. I mean, it is mint. It is nice. And then this is a 50s near mint carbine pouch. It's 50s, but it's basically the same as the later World War II ones that would have the belt loops. So it's similar. And now, aside from our little bitty bag and maybe a tool roll that I have over here, and then a grand kit, I think, for the cleaning components. A medical satchel that has been converted to no longer have the D-loops, but instead a normal strap. A model of 1945, haversack basically. Strange converted World War I bag into a World War II bag. Can't quite remember. I probably a surplus store thing, and then my M1928 haversack, which is a very early production Baker Lockwood Co. 1941 with the reinforcing rivets in the shoulder straps. The only damage it has is rust stains and a little rust hole there. But I mean, it's nice. It'd be even better if you know, I didn't decide to play Army and go outside with it all on. But that's a different story. But anyways, that, other than the blanket in the bottom there, which is a 44 or 45 dated one, that'll do it. Oh, and a little tidbit, that helmet on the left with the leather chin strap there is a new fixed bale I got, which is in the heat stamp of 49B, very early. I'll maybe have a whole video dedicated to just that eventually. But for now, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.